is Jaguars Happy Hour. And now, spending the entire plane ride home from London in the back doing high knees, J.P. Shadrick.
And magically, all my pain is gone. Welcome in. It's Jaguars Happy Hour. It is Thursday. It is week 9. I am J.P. Shadrick. Let's take a look at what's coming up on the next 2 hours ahead. A busy couple hours. Analyst Jeff Lageman is standing by to discuss this Raiders-Jaguars matchup coming up at the bank on Sunday. The Jags trying to snap a 5-game skid. It's now 2-6, the overall record. The Raiders are at 2-5. They've split their last 4 games. They were shut out last week. We'll get into all that coming up. Then at 5 o'clock, we'll hear from the head coach, Doug Pederson, joining us. We'll get his thoughts on this matchup coming back home, coming off the London trip. Well, the Jags are back from London trying to snap that skid. A lot of the same issues week to week, it feels like, are popping up, especially in the red zone, especially on goal-to-goal situations, certainly on first and goal at the 1, and Trevor Lawrence is learning as it goes.
At that point in the game, we're up 7-0, and you think about how would that change the game if we end up scoring on that drive and make it 14-0 and really kind of take the life out of their sideline and kind of keep all the momentum. I think that's the most frustrating thing when you look back on it and just how the game changes. But playing this position, just playing this sport, it's all about the next play. So, I think that's something I've had to learn in my career is how to move on to the next play. Like, you're going to have some bad plays, and obviously that one's just, that one's not acceptable, just the situation. We got to eliminate those. So I'm obviously learning my lessons there and moving forward, not going to make that mistake. And so it's frustrating, but at the same time, I think that was in the first quarter. So you got 3 more quarters to play. And you got to do your best to not let that affect the rest of the game.
That was a moment that really turned the early part of that game in London. The Jaguars lost, of course, to the Denver Broncos. Press Taylor is the offensive coordinator, and earlier today discussed the play of Travis Etienne Jr. He is on a roll right now on the ground, 156 under the arch at Wembley last week.
We were fortunate to be able to continue to run the ball, and obviously Travis is benefiting from the offensive line, the receivers, the tight ends doing their job as well. Trevor getting us in the right plays, coach continuing to stick through some runs and keeping ourselves in favorable situations where you can still run the ball. That certainly builds confidence every time you see Travis produce. It's unknown. He's a younger player, unknown what kind of production he'll have at this level, but so far so good, and we just want to continue to keep him on that path of growing as the total complete back.
Now to the defensive side. The Jaguars had the lead in the fourth quarter, and then the Broncos went on a game-winning touchdown drive. That drive started on a big pass play from Russell Wilson to K.J. Hamler on the opening play of that drive. Well, Mike Caldwell, the defensive coordinator this week, asked if Darius Williams would go outside or Trey Herndon inside.
That's the plan. I think other than one play last week, you didn't hear Trey's name. And we go to it, and he played some really good plays, just like we all did. And one play stands out, but, his head's up. He's confident. We're confident in him, and he's going to go back out there this week and continue to play.
He said it is status quo. They're not going to change. They'll keep Trey outside and Williams inside at the cornerback position. And now the Las Vegas Raiders are on deck for the Jaguars. Yes, they were shut out last week. But yes, Doug Pederson understands that a team can get back on track in a hurry.
We had a game just like that this season where we held a team to 0, and then, next thing you know, they're over 30 points the next time we play them. So each week's different, and each game plan is different, and the set of circumstances are different, and you put the past in the past, and you focus on the current. So I would expect a different, Raider team this weekend.
There you have it, all the press conferences and media availabilities on Jaguars.com right now, or the Jaguars social media channels, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, and more with head coach Doug Pederson coming up at 5 o'clock on the Doug Pederson Show on the Jaguars Radio Network. Jeff Lageman is on that program, and he's on this one now. Jaguars Happy Hour, as always, on a Thursday. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
Here we are, week 9.
It's almost evening.
Yeah, but it's not yet. It's 4 o'clock.
Close. It's close. It's kind of right there between. You know,
What is the border?
You could go either way.
What is the dividing line of that? 7
5
o'clock?
o'clock.
5 o'clock?
5 o'clock you would be officially in the evening, but at 4 o'clock you could go either way.
But prime time is 8 o'clock and later.
I can tell you this: it's what time it is. It's happy hour.
It is.
JP, where's the drinks?
We might need some on a 5-game losing skid.
Might
I'll
need
say
one
that.
after that game.
Ooh, yikes. So a couple of interceptions from the quarterback. That's been the big talking point this week, of course. And, hey, 1st and goal at the 1. We saw it against the Texans in a second, I think, in goal situation in that game. And now 1st and goal, a play you just can't make.
That's the play that I'm talking about. I might need a drink.
Yeah.
You made the mistake earlier in the year against the Houston Texans, and you just can't make that throw on a 1st and goal from the 1. And I think the other disappointing aspect was that after the game, Trevor was asked about that play, and he said he didn't necessarily think it was a bad decision. It was a bad throw. No, it's a bad throw and it's a bad decision. Both of them were bad, and I'm sure that he realized that. And the disappointing thing is that play affected the performance for him for the rest of the game, in my opinion, because I thought that was his worst game as a pro. The reason I say that is that if you go look at a passer rating, and you could argue that the Philly game was worse just because of the giveaways, okay? But as a passer, I thought that was the worst game. And the reason I say that, there were about 8 instances in that ball game that he had either inaccuracies or he had options that were open that he didn't see, which when he had time to find it, or that there were just poor decisions made, like the interception. The interception that happened early in the ball game, and also the interception that happened later in the game.
It's a bad throw, yeah.
So that one was the second one was inaccurate and also a poor decision because he had a crosser route underneath Zay Jones for an easy completion to get the chains moving on the first play. And the reason it bothered me that game more than other ones is that he had a really strong running game, and the offensive line was playing very well. So if there was ever a game to bounce back from a mistake, to not have one mistake affect the rest of your game, this was the game. Okay, Travis Etienne is just lighting it up. The offensive line is doing a really good job against a very talented Broncos defense. You've got open guys that you couldn't take advantage of. And how he bounces back after this game, I think, is going to be very telling, because you're looking at now, so far this season, 3 not very good, poor games, if you want to call them that. 3 poor games this year that he has not helped this team win. He's been more of a bigger reason for why they've lost. That needs to change. He's got to change the direction, and that's why I've said this before. It's the hardest position to play in all of sports, and it takes a physical toughness, and it takes, most importantly, a mental toughness to play that position, because it is hard. It has growing pains that you've got to be able to withstand. And this is a great test for him, to be able to weather this storm and to fight through it and to learn from it. He's got to learn from it, JP, because he didn't learn in Houston or at Houston or against Houston at home.
I'm going to guess, and that this is the longest stretch like this in his entire football life. From high school to college, certainly now in the pros, 5-game skid, all the turnovers, everything that go with it. They didn't play a lot of close games at Clemson. They were winning a lot of those big, and so being in tight games late, it's all relatively new to him.
Well, the reality is that this is a much different game than college. If it were the same game, there would be a lot of Heisman winners that would move on, that had moved on to the pros, that would have had much better professional careers.
Yeah, right.
It's a different game. The windows are smaller. The accuracy, the mental acuity that's required to play in the NFL is so much higher compared to college football, and definitely more than high school football. Because you got to make good decisions. The awareness. When you're 1st and goal, and I know it's kind of beating up that play, but you got to use that as an example because it's shining. 1st and goal from the 1. You can't risk anything. And on that particular play, it's a rollout, speed out. So he's running out fast. He's got Christian Kirk, a real quick out route, little speed out. hits it, and then maybe the other option is to run it if for some crazy reason they've abandoned the end zone, which you're not going to get that. But then the next option, throw it away. Throw it away because you're first and goal at the 1. And as a coach, a lot of people want to criticize the call. I don't have a problem with the call. The reason I don't have a problem with the call is you've got to be able to trust your quarterback that is either hit for a touchdown or it's thrown away. As a play caller, you can't sit there and go, well, I can't call that because we might throw an interception there.
Yeah, that's right.
Because that's not an option there. On a play action pass on first and goal from the 1, and I'm not trying to say that analytics is king, but I mean it has a pretty high success rate. And you don't make decisions based solely on that, but the reality is sometimes you'll have to be able to catch a team off guard, and that's a good play. It's worked for a long period of time in the National Football League, and you just can't make that throw, and then you have to be able to say, I can't make that throw after the game.
Now the positive part of it. You mentioned Travis Etienne Jr. We heard
awesome
from Press Taylor, the offensive coordinator, talking about his play so far, and he is on a roll now. 356 rushing yards in his first 3 NFL starts. That's the last 3 weeks combined. It's the most through their first 3 career starts for any running back in Jaguars history. More than Fred, more than Maurice, and Travis is really starting to heat up. And it just looked like he was running with a different aggression, a different style, maybe.
More power.
Between the tackles, pads down.
Yeah, he had more power.
Yeah.
And he's calming down is what's happening. We actually talked about this a few weeks ago, that sometimes it almost looks like he was running out of control, getting a little bit more weight forward than he needed to, so when somebody touched a leg, he would get tripped up. And he's running more under control now, more confident. He's not trying to press so much. I got to make this play. He's just running natural now. And running natural means for him that he's seeing the holes, and he hits a hole so fast that the linemen a lot of times don't have to hold their blocks, but for an instant to allow him to get through. And because he's not running with so much weight forward now, that when he does get something tangled up around his legs, he's still maintaining his balance and then keeping the leg drive and making some nice gains after contact, more so than I think that he's done, particularly in the first couple games of the season. And he's been impressive. He's a stud. Just want to, keep him healthy and make sure that he's available for every game this year, because I think running back depth is a little bit of a question mark.
And hang on to the football, for goodness sakes.
Yeah, you can't fumble it like he did against the Giants at the 5 going in. And
he knows that. He said that in the locker room today. He's been working on that.
Well, and I think that goes back to you're trying to run too hard, and trying to do so much real fast, and you push a little bit because, you want to do good, and, it's early in his career. And the more confidence, the more experience he gains, I think the less we'll see of that type of thing. But he is a joy to watch, and I just can't wait to see what's next with him because, 3 consecutive games of a rush of over 40 yards.
Yeah.
And we haven't even – wait till we see him get out on a screenplay to where he gets a little bit of space and then all of a sudden, zoom, off he goes. I can't wait.
It's going to be fun to watch for sure. Hey, we've got plenty ahead on Jaguars Happy Hour. We'll return and get into the defense, especially in the final 3-4 minutes of that game last week at Wembley, and how they hold on to a fourth quarter lead.
That's another conversation to have, right?
Well, we're about to have it when we come back. And, of course, the second hour coming up at 5 o'clock. It's the Doug Pederson Show. We'll hear from the Jaguars head coach ahead of this Raiders-Jaguars matchup. PRI Productions, the official event production company of the Jags, has everything you need to bring your next idea to life. Visit PRIProductions.com. It's Jaguars Happy Hour on the Jaguars Digital Network.
Reconnect with the best version of you at Amara Med Spa. Northeast Florida's premier luxury medical spa, located in Ponte Vedra, Town Center, Avondale, St. Augustine, and Fernandina. With the most advanced injectors, estheticians, and technology, Amara Med Spa is redefining beauty. Offering services such as Botox and filler, M-Sculpt Neo, painless laser hair removal, and advanced skincare treatments. Visit theamaramedspa.com and book a complimentary consultation today.
Jaguars fans, here's a great way to pay with pride wherever you go. Exclusively from TIAA Bank, the Jacksonville Jaguars Visa debit card comes with a fierce look and fantastic features, along with the convenience to make purchases online or at millions of locations worldwide. And it's yours, free, when you open a Yield Pledge checking account. Order yours today. Visit TIAABank.com/JagsCard. TIAA Bank is a division of TIAA, FSB, member FDIC, and the official bank of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Hi, I'm Chef Justin Timoneri, Florida's culinary ambassador. If you've enjoyed preparing fresh from Florida recipes, then you're going to love the Fresh from Florida Club. As a member, you'll be able to search and save delicious recipes, create custom menus, and ask me your cooking questions. Each month, you'll also get a list of what's in season, so you can make your family the freshest meals possible. It's free and easy to sign up. And best of all, you'll be supporting Florida's farmers, ranchers, and fishermen. Join the club at followfreshfromflorida.com today.
It's football season, and time to take your game to the next level with a Ford F-150 truck. Light up your tailgate with an available Pro Power onboard generator. And with an available 3.5-liter EcoBoost engine, you can tow just about anything you need to rule the stadium lot. Ford F-150, part of the F-Series lineup that have been the best-selling pickups for 45 straight years. Get to your local Ford store today. Proud sponsor of your Jacksonville Jaguars.
Frank Frangie here. When you want barbecue in Jacksonville, you want Bono's Pit Barbecue. You can find Bono's locations all around town and on game day at TIAA Bank Field, because Bono's is the official barbecue of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Bono's is currently expanding its brand with franchise opportunities throughout the Southeast and beyond. Over 70 years of authentic Southern pit barbecue and owning your own business are a great combo. Go to bonosbarbq.com to learn more or call 904-880-8310 today. And remember, if you don't see a pit, it ain't legit.
Are you suffering from shoulder pain? If you have clicking and popping in the shoulder joint, persistent pain that intensifies with use, an inability to lift your arm over your head, or a tingling, burning sensation in the shoulder, elbow, or wrist, waiting to see a doctor could make your injury worse. Baptist Health and Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute have innovative and effective treatment options available right now to relieve your pain and restore your mobility. Don't wait. Call 904-JOI-2000.
Jacksonville Sports Talk for Jacksonville sports fans. 1010XL, home of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Jaguars Game Day Radio is brought to you by ViStar Credit Union. Do good, bank better. And welcome back. It's Jaguars Happy Hour. It is Thursday, and it's Week 9. I'm JP Shadrick with Jeff Lageman. Coming up at 5 o'clock, the Doug Pederson Show. The Jaguars head coach joining us. We'll get his thoughts on, we'll clean up what happened in London, and then we'll look forward to the Raiders-Jaguars matchup coming up in week number 9. That's just this Sunday, 1 o'clock kickoff time at the bank. All right, so a 5-game skid for the Jaguars, and in many of these losses, the Jaguars have lost fourth-quarter leads. The defense this past week when it mattered, on the opening play when the Jaguars had just taken the lead, gave up a long pass from Russell Wilson to K.J. Hamler over Trey Herndon and set him up in Jaguars territory and with plenty of time remaining. But then the Jaguars got him to third down at one point. It was 3rd and 5. And then Russell Wilson escapes with his legs and gets the first down at the 2-minute warning and keeps the sticks moving. And a few plays later, they punch it into the end zone for the go-ahead and what proved to be the game-winning touchdown. But another moment late in the game where the defense either gives up a big pass like they did in Indy for the game-winning touchdown there, or can't stop the run against the Giants in the 4-minute drill and get off the field there, and they could have done that.
So
basically, now it's another pass.
Basically, if we've seen 4 consecutive games where the defense, if they just rise up and make a play, then they have a chance at winning, or they do win, okay? And this past game in London was very similar, but I give them credit because the offense was just struggling for a long while in the second half. They come out and, I wrote some notes down here. You come out, you got a 8-play drive, but you got to punt it. Then you punt it again. You punt it again. You punt it again. Right? So finally, you're able to put together a drive, which is the go-ahead score of the ball game. You're up 17-14. And one of the reasons why they're able to get this go-ahead score is because the defense did a great job against the Denver offense to where they forced them the 2 consecutive 3-and-outs before they ended up taking over and taking that in for a score. So, I mean, that's a good job. Okay, but now once you've gotten the lead, now you have to close the game out. Somebody has to make a play. And the very first play, you had the long completion to K.J. Hamler over Trey Herndon, and we heard Mike Caldwell talk about how well Trey Herndon had played all game and only gives up the one play, but it's a big play. Okay?
Big play.
And I would kind of question is, do you want to have Trey Herndon in press coverage at that moment in the game? And that's that. You can debate that, and we could argue that, a million different ways. But the week before, you saw Trey Herndon get beat on another go route, and I would have loved to have seen Trey Herndon play in off coverage in that situation instead of press, especially with the wide receiver being off the ball, because it's hard to get a jam or to disrupt a route when a wide receiver essentially has about a 2.5-yard window to evade any kind of disruption or a jam in the route off the line of scrimmage.
And then if you whiff on him, he's got 4.3 speed.
And he's got momentum.
That's right.
And KJ Hamler, like you said, is a fast guy. So that was disappointing. The 3rd and 5 where Josh Allen sticks his nose underneath inside the tackle, who, by the way, was third string guy, have an opportunity there to beat him. He dips underneath, and Russell Wilson goes for an easy first down. You just can't have that. And you got to have a balanced approach, especially on a guy that has mobility. There's historical mobility with Russell Wilson. That you go into that game knowing, I don't care if he's coming off of a hamstring. I don't care if he's coming off of a shoulder. It's Russell Wilson. He was the one doing your exercises on the plane ride over to London.
That's right. I taught him that.
You knew he was going to be fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that part is disappointing. And it was good to see that they got a takeaway. Great play by Tyson Campbell.
Great play.
Excellent play that led to the first points of the game.
And for a guy who in the past has had some issues with balls like that, up in the air when, finding it and the whole deal.
But this was different in that this was a zone coverage. This is what he does best. Tyson plays best when he has his eyes back to the quarterback, and that was a cover 2. And we actually are going to draw this play up. It'll be on YouTube.
All right.
I think later in the week. It might be on YouTube, available now on the Jaguars channel.
Nice.
Went to the film room with Deshae Townsend, the defensive backs coach, and we drew this play up. He drew this play up and talked about it, and it did a great job of explaining, and I'll explain it to people here. When you have a cover 2 corner, the first job of the corner is to get in the face of the wide receiver at the line of scrimmage to try to disrupt the route, because you don't want to get 2 guys on the same level at the safety, because then he has to make a choice, which guy do I cover? So Tyson does a great job of getting his arms out, but he kind of misses the jam. But it disrupts the route just enough. Then he has to turn his eyes to the inside, because if it's a run play, he's got to be able to come up and support on the outside, because cover 2 is a 7-man front. You get the 8th guy by a corner and run support. Well, he does a good job of taking a peek, and it's not there. So then he starts to fall off underneath of Cortland Sutton, the wide receiver, realizes there's nobody underneath of him that would make him check up. He continues to gain depth at the whole time, JP, with his eyes back to the quarterback, and high points the ball underneath of Cortland Sutton. Magnificent play, and it's his 4th career interception, 2nd of the year. Good job by Tyson. He's playing well. And it was interesting. I'll bring this up because we had Rasheem Mathis on the show last week on Jaguars All Access, and you mentioned, I've talked about it before, how sometimes Tyson has a hard time when he's trying to figure out, do I turn around and look for the ball, the timing of when to do that. And I asked Rasheem about that, and I said, how does a young defensive back take that next step in that category? And he said, There's a lot of guys that just have that ability. It's just they're born with it. And he goes, but some guys do have the ability to train their eyes, to train their timing, and to learn to get better. And so I was encouraged by what Rasheem said because he given me the belief that Tyson's going to continue to get better. And we're talking about a player who was already a very good football player, one of the top corners according to Pro Football Focus ranking-wise. I think he's top 5. That's pretty good. So, but a nice play by him.
So we'll check out the YouTube channel for the Jaguars and check out going into the film room with Deshae Townsend, the Jaguars cornerbacks coach. And that leads us to this week's matchup against the Raiders offense. Derek Carr, 9th-year quarterback, and Davante Adams at wide receiver. I think he had 1 catch last week. He's not the type that wants to have 1 catch back-to-back weeks. What's the matchup like this week, and how do you defend Davante?
Well, he's going to make catches on you just because he's so good at making contested catches. He doesn't have elite speed as a wide receiver, but he's got good speed. Last week he's going to be a little angry because he was open and the quarterback didn't play very well at all. I thought Derek Carr played poorly in that game against New Orleans. And Davante Adams is a really good football player. He's one of, I think, 5 guys that have and I wrote this numbers down and share it with you, JP, which is, I'm sure you're aware of this, but this is for the folks out there. There's only been 5 guys in the history of the National Football League that have had 700-plus catches and 75-plus touchdowns in 9 seasons.
Wow.
Okay, there's only been 5. Here are the 5. Jerry Rice.
Yeah, that was going to be my first guess.
Hall of Famer. Marvin Harrison.
Yep.
Hall of Famer. Calvin Johnson. Hall of Famer. Larry Fitzgerald. Future Hall of Famer.
Soon to be, yeah.
And Davante Adams.
About that.
And he's not even midway through his 9th season. I mean, that's impressive now. But is he having the years, a year like he's had in past years with Aaron Rodgers? If you look at the numbers, they're a little off. A little off. So as badly as he wanted to go back and play with his college teammate, the grass isn't always greener on the other side.
His numbers are pretty close to Christian Kirk's this year, aren't they?
Yeah, but you compare them to Davante Adams of the past couple of years.
I'm not talking about I'm talking about this season.
Yeah.
I mean, consider the money that went back for both of those guys and what they're getting out of it.
Well, Davante Adams, I mean, the Raiders gave up this year's 1st and 2nd round picks. So the first was the 22nd overall, and then the 2nd round pick was the 53rd overall. So that's a pretty steep price to pay, but it seems like everybody's willing to pay that for wide receivers these days.
You're right. Yeah, because
Jaguars just paid.
Guess what? We know
some for Calvin Ridley, right?
we know very well.
Yeah,
how that works. Just to clarify that note here on the wide receivers, Christian Kirk is off to a really, at least statistical start. He's got 498 receiving yards so far this year, 35 receptions, which is not at the very top of the league, but that's at least a good start for him. And then on the other side.
I got Adams' numbers.
68 targets, 38 catches, 512. I mean, that's pretty close.
Yeah, the interesting thing is that Davante Adams, if you look at his history of targets and catches, he's been in the high 60% range as far as targets and catches. And this year that's way down compared to where he has been historically. But he's a good football player. What will the Jaguars do? Will they travel somebody with Davante Adams? Could they take a Tyson Campbell and say, hey, look, you're going to cover Davante when we go man? We haven't seen a lot of that out of the Jaguars. Could they do it this week? I think that would be pretty interesting. Could they take Darius Williams, travel him? Could they put 2 guys on Davante Adams and then leave everybody else single covered? I don't know. There's kind of 2 theories real quick here, JP. I know we got to take a break. Bill Belichick always had, and he's one of the great defensive minds to ever be in the league, arguably the greatest ever. Because a lot of people in the league used to have this approach that they would always take the best corner they had to put it on the best receiver. Belichick always had a little bit of a different approach. He would take his second best corner, and then double cover the best guy with that second or third best corner and a safety, and then have his better guys on, or his two best guys,
top guy
on the other two guys, which was an interesting approach. I remember when he kind of first started showing some of that stuff, I was like, man, that's so pretty cool, because it's kind of different than what most people would think would be the way to approach that. So there's a couple approaches. Will they do that, or will they just play their defenses? I don't know. But it's going to be something to watch.
We'll come back in a moment, and there are a lot of eyes on the Las Vegas Raiders injury report. We'll get to that. It's fresh. It's hot off the press. The Jaguars have one name on the list this week as well. We'll get the new one for Thursday, the latest from practice both here and down in Southwest Florida, where the Raiders are working out this week. Check out the official Jaguars Podcast Network. It's a free subscription on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you download pods. Give us that 5-star rating and a comment as always. It's Jaguars Happy Hour on the Jaguars Digital Network.
Jaguars fans, huddle up for the best defense against expensive car repairs, CarShield. Score big with the nation's #1 automotive protection company, CarShield. They offer affordable plans that cover over 6,000 parts and systems in your car, truck, or SUV. Don't miss any Jaguars action this season with a car breakdown. Call the MVPs at CarShield for their best coverage ever. Call 800-471-1223. 800-471-1223. Go Jags!
Thinking about your favorite whiskey cocktail for this weekend's party or tailgate? Us too. While you're out shopping for supplies, don't forget to pick up a bottle of the 2022 Jaguars whiskey, available at most local Jacksonville liquor stores. Not leaving the couch this weekend? No problem. You can also order a bottle online at citrusdistillersonline.com. Every bottle is made locally here in Duval.
The Land Rover Defender story began with the simple thought of creating an exceptionally capable off-road vehicle, becoming the go-anywhere, do-anything all-terrain machine. Today, there's a new Land Rover Defender, the toughest and most advanced Land Rover vehicle ever. From the beginning, Land Rover knew the new Defender was capable of great things. Motor Trend's 2021 SUV of the Year is just the latest example. Test drive the new Land Rover Defender today at Land Rover Jacksonville on Atlantic Boulevard, or go to LandRoverJacksonville.com. Land Rover, above and beyond.
Hey, I'm driving. I joined the new Dunkin' Rewards program, and today's the day I'm going to use my points on a medium iced latte and a couple of chocolate frosted donuts.
Here you go, and thanks for being a rewards member.
And now I'm using those chocolate frosted donuts, kids, to get a few sweet, sweet, blissful minutes of beautiful relief from the never-ending onslaught of backseat bickering.
Join new Dunkin' Rewards today. Join new Dunkin' Rewards today. Save them, stack them, use them how you want. America runs on Dunkin'. Terms apply.
Committed to the team. Committed to the mission. At Navy Mutual, we're committed to providing high-quality life insurance to members of the military and their families. So our policies have no fine print and no military service restrictions. We don't work on commission. We're nonprofit, so we pass the savings along to our members. Because at Navy Mutual, our highest commitment is to you. Visit NavyMutual.org. Navy Mutual, insuring those who serve.
At Tropical Smoothie Cafe, one taste and you're feeling good now, smiling wider now, seeing brighter now, bucket dunking now, namasteing now, popping a wheelie now, living lighter now. You're on Tropic Time now. And on Mondays, try our Jaguars Duval Delight Smoothies for $2.99. And you're roaring louder now, end zone dancing now, sipping spirit now. You're on Tropic Time now at Tropical Smoothie Cafe.
The station that the Jaguars listen to, 1010XL. Home of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
PRI Productions, the Southeast full-service event company, has everything you need to bring your next idea to life. Visit PRIProductions.com and learn more. And welcome back. It's Jaguars Happy Hour. JP Shadrick with Jeff Lageman. Week 9, Raiders, Jaguars. Raiders 2-5, Jaguars 2-6. 5 in a row the Jags have lost. They're trying to get back on track at home against the Raiders. And time now for the injury report presented by Baptist Health and the Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute, the official sports medicine provider of the Jacksonville Jaguars. One name on the Jaguars list this week, Jamal Agnew, the kick returner and wide receiver with a knee issue. He's missed the last couple games, limited Wednesday, limited in practice again today, Logs, but maybe it's trending the right way. It'd be nice to see him back out there, I think.
I hope so. The reason, obviously, he adds an element to the offense, which is explosive. But most importantly, his return ability, I think, is always a threat. And after watching Jermichael Hasty as a kick returner, Christian Kirk as a punt returner, they're not Jamal Agnew.
Christian there had a couple of returns last week where, I think when they first put him out there, it's, hey, Christian, just wave your hand and call for the fair catch. But it was so open, it's like, okay, I got to try to return a couple of these.
Yeah, well, it wasn't great, was it?
No.
And that's why you want Jamal Agnew back. And if you can, and the Jaguars haven't had anything really explosive from special teams yet in the return game, so that would be nice to be able to get something in that category. Now,
how much is that design, you think, with Jamal back there? If he's back there, we're not kicking to this guy,
No, I mean, look, he's had opportunities. Jamal has had opportunities.
Okay.
Just hasn't had that moment yet. Okay. And the Raiders got a pretty good special teams group themselves now. If you look at them, they've got a kicker who has like 39 straight field goals going all the way back like a year ago. They've got an all-pro Pro Bowl punter who is right up there at the top with Logan Cook, maybe even a little bit better than Logan Cook, that's pretty good, right?
Yes.
So this is a good special teams group with the Las Vegas Raiders. So it would be nice to have Agnew back to be able to get a difference maker potentially out there on the field.
We'll see what his status is tomorrow after practice. Now, the Raiders have a long list. Davante Adams was on that list with an illness. He was limited in practice Wednesday, but back full today for the Raiders.
They had a bug going around their team last week. So I don't know if this is related to the bug that they had going around or if he was just sick after only having one catch for 3 yards against the Saints.
Right. He's ill.
Could have been both.
That. Derek Carr's on the list with a back issue, but full Wednesday and Thursday shouldn't be an issue. Divine Diablo, or back and wrist injury, did not practice yesterday, but back limited today. He's a linebacker
good player.
for them.
Where's number 5? He's a good football player. He's their leading tackler, really active. And they will miss him if he's not able to play because that's 2 practices that he has not practiced, correct?
All right. That's he did not practice Wednesday, limited today.
Okay, limited today.
Yes.
Okay.
And then the next 3 guys on this list, limited both Wednesday and Thursday. Neil Farrell, defensive tackle. Mac Hollins, a wide receiver. And Darren Waller, the tight end.
That's the big one.
That's the one, the hamstring injury. He's been out a couple weeks.
Yeah, he injured it, I think, early in the game against Kansas City. And so missed the majority of that game, missed the last 2 games, was an inactive scratch. And this guy is dynamic. A couple years ago, he was a 1,000-yard tight end. He's a Pro Bowl type of guy. He's got the size. He's got the speed. It's a difficult matchup for defensive coordinators to try to figure out how do you cover him because he's got such size. The size-speed combination, with his size, you want to put a linebacker on him. But then when you see how fast he can run, you'd like to put a defensive back on him. But then the size can win. So that's a tough situation to try to figure out if you're a defensive coordinator when he's on the football field. And so that's something that I guarantee you the Jaguars coaches are going to be watching very closely. And they are preparing, I guarantee you, for the Raiders to have him. And it's not like they have another guy that can step up in those shoes. They have other tight ends that are okay, but none. Now, Darren Waller's an elite player when he's on his game. I'm talking elite player. And you can't replace elite players with backups.
He put it to this team a few years ago in a matchup in, 2019.
How many targets did he have?
He had 10 targets, 8 catches, 122 yards in that game. Did not score.
Dominant.
That was That was a wild one. Yeah.
He's a dominant player when he's on his game, and that's the crazy thing. If the Raiders get rolling, with Josh Jacobs running the ball, who he is considered, PFF has him ranked as the best running back. I wouldn't say that he is the best, but he's really good. Okay, he's right there near the top. So one of the best running backs in the league. You got one of the best tight ends in the league. You got one of the best wide receivers in the league. And you've got a quarterback who, when given time in the pocket, has got excellent touch and excellent accuracy. But many people, ever since he came out, there's always been a question about Derek Carr's toughness. Always been.
I don't get that, man. He's always proven that he, battles through it, at least to me.
I mean,
He's there for 9 years.
I'm with you. I'm with JP. I'm with you.
Finds a way.
But there's a reason why those questions exist. And when you watch the game last week against New Orleans, he did not look like his eyes were staying down the field in the face of pressure. He looked like that he was peaking and finding the rush and then finding a reason to try to do something that wasn't necessary. And that's if you watch that game right there, you would say, oh, yeah, that's a guy that looks like he doesn't deal with pressure very well. But, I mean, it hasn't been like that every week. I'm not saying that. Yeah. I'm just saying that from watching the game in New Orleans against the Saints, it looked that way.
Same draft class as Blake Bortles, by the way. They were all in here on visits
together
2014, on the same day. You remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, when Bridgewater was here and he was here and Blake was here, all the same day.
Yeah, it's
the pre-draft visits.
And getting ready for the Raiders game, you always put together my board, and when you do a broadcast, you have a board. And this past game in London, you had the opportunity to work with Mike Mayock.
I did, yes.
Who was the former general manager of the Oakland Raiders, so that was cool.
It was interesting perspective on the Raiders for sure all weekend.
We got some great stories about the Raiders, and I always had high respect for Mike Mayock, and I still do. I think he's a very good personnel guy. I think that he would do a very good job for a team in some kind of capacity. But the dynamic with John Gruden with the Raiders, it didn't work. And the old saying is that stick to what you know. I think could be aptly applied in a lot of different cases. And if you're a coach, stick to coaching. If you're a personnel guy, stick to being a personnel guy. And so you don't try to be a coach if you're a personnel guy, and vice versa. You don't try to be a personnel guy if you're a coach.
Right, but Gruden had the control and the final say, and that was kind of how it went there a lot of times, and that's just part of it.
Is that saying he had the con?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
right?
That's right. But for Mike Mayock, how many opportunities like that are going to come along, and
that's
they
don't come along very often.
Took a chance to do it, and I
think
he learned a lot.
Chances very often.
Right, but he learned a lot about the process, and now I'm sure at some point he'll be back on television if he wants to be. Doesn't have to be now after the last 4 years, but they got to the playoffs last year. Then he got fired.
Is he still getting paid?
I'm sure he is.
Yeah.
I'm guessing so. We didn't quite get into that.
Yeah, I mean, you don't ask a guy, hey, man, you still making money from the Raiders?
What am I supposed to do? Yeah.
I don't know. Somebody could probably Google that and find out how many years he had left.
I'm going to guess he's doing fine.
Yeah, because very different than players. If a coach or a personnel guy gets fired and they had a contract, that contract has to be paid out.
And he got fired after they went to the playoffs. Remember that?
Yeah.
So
with
the interim coach.
I thought that Mark Davis made a huge mistake, and I'm not down on the current coach of the Raiders, okay, because I think Josh McDaniels is a good football coach.
Oh, they're not performing well right now.
But I thought that Rich Bisaccia,
yes,
the special teams coach who became the interim coordinator, did such a good job last year. I was shocked that they didn't just retain him and Mike. I thought for sure, because they showed noticeable improvement in what was an extremely tough situation with all the negative attention and the negative light that was shined on the Raiders organization. And it would have saved Mark Davis a bunch of money.
Well,
I don't know.
There it is. And so the Raiders are coming in here. There is the Injury report presented by Baptist Health and the Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute, the official sports medicine provider of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Well, if you're looking for the MVP of the truck game, then look no further than Ford F-150, loaded with impressive capability and designed to dominate work, play, and everything in between. This truck makes tough look easy. Your local Ford dealer, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, will wrap it up, and then coming up at 5 o'clock, it's the Doug Pederson Show. The Jaguars head coach will join us in about 15 minutes' time. It's Jaguars Happy Hour on the Jaguars Digital Network.
Your hometown gate now has more ways to save. Introducing My Gate Rewards, a new loyalty program with member-exclusive savings and fuel discounts. Earn points on in-store purchases, take advantage of special offers, and save on products you love. Score free coffee, fountain drinks, pizza, and soft serve with Gates frequent shopper clubs. Then use your points on savings at the pump. Download the My Gate Rewards app in the App Store today or ask a store associate for more information. Go from good to Gate.
Kessler Creative, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, has been a leader in direct mail for over a decade. Using the latest technology, Kessler can now reach your ideal audience even more effectively. Choose from between a couple of response channels, from direct mail to landing pages designed to engage and initiate responses with potential customers. Kessler Creative, Jacksonville, Florida. Results-driven marketing and a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
It's football season, and time to take your game to the next level with a Ford F-150 truck. Light up your tailgate with an available Pro Power onboard generator. And with an available 3.5-liter EcoBoost engine, you can tow just about anything you need to rule the stadium lot. Ford F-150, part of the F-Series lineup that have been the best-selling pickups for 45 straight years. Get to your local Ford store today. Proud sponsor of your Jacksonville Jaguars.
At Tropical Smoothie Cafe, one taste and you're feeling good now, smiling wider now, seeing brighter now, bucket dunking now, namasteing now, popping a wheelie now, living lighter now. You're on Tropic Time now. And on Mondays, try our Jaguars Duval Delight Smoothies for $2.99. And you're roaring louder now, end zone dancing now, sipping spirit now. You're on Tropic Time now at Tropical Smoothie Cafe.
Headquartered in Jacksonville, Florida, CSI Companies partners with leading organizations across the country to deliver workforce solutions. As a proud sponsor of your Jacksonville Jaguars, CSI crafts personalized operations to fuel the success of businesses, both big and small. Whether it's finding the right talent for a job or seamlessly managing a project from start to finish, CSI has over 3 decades of experience in getting the job done. This is your workforce solutions reimagined. Visit CSICompanies.com.
Committed to the team. Committed to the mission. At Navy Mutual, we're committed to providing high-quality life insurance to members of the military and their families. So our policies have no fine print and no military service restrictions. We don't work on commission. We're nonprofit, so we pass the savings along to our members. Because at Navy Mutual, our highest commitment is to you. Visit NavyMutual.org. Navy Mutual, insuring those who serve.
Mike Dempsey and Fat Tony, Jaguars Today. All Jaguars, all NFL, all the time. 10 to noon weekdays on 1010XL.
Welcome back. It's Jaguars Happy Hour, and we take a look, if you're watching on Jaguars.com, Jaguars social media, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube on the video side. It's the Miller Electric Center, moving along quite nice. It should be open for business for training camp 2023. It's going to be really, really awesome.
Yeah, it's really coming together. It's pretty cool because the main building itself is starting to get the roof on it. They're painting some of the steel around the edges of the roof. The grandstand is going up where there's going to be seating to watch the practice fields. The indoor complex roof is all the structure components of the roof are in place. So, yeah, it's pretty neat. It's big.
Oh, it's big.
That whole area is big. Yes, Joe.
Hi, Joe Fortunato's with us.
Hey, gentlemen, next week, we may not be able to see that shot.
Why is that?
It'll be dark.
Oh, yeah, the time changes. Yeah, thanks. That's a good point.
We'll pre-record that shot.
Yeah, we'll just roll this one back over and over and over and over. They stopped construction somehow. They have to show that over the week.
We'll pre-record so we have a daylight shot of it every week. How about that?
Right. All right, so the Raiders and the Jaguars coming up. Raiders 2-5. They're practicing down at IMG in Bradenton this whole week. They were in New Orleans and got shut out last week, and they've been away from home for a long time, and they're geared up and trying to get some points on the board at least this week. The Jaguars have dropped 5 in a row after a 2-1 start. Boy, some key moment issues. We talked about them earlier, Logs. Jags pretty good between the 20s. Not so good in the red zone, not so good in the goal-to-go situations as of late. The Jags defense, middle of the pack as a whole, but in key moments late in games, they've been unable to hang on to leads or throw over the top, unable to stop the run here or there, and now that equals 5 straight losses. The turnover margin now -2 on the season. That has flipped from the early 2-3 weeks to start the season. So that's what happens.
I mean, you just look at the categories of the 2 games that you've won versus the games that you haven't won. The takeaway giveaways is drastically different. The penalties per game is drastically different. The disappointing thing is the penalty category. The Broncos were awful in that category. Made a bunch of mistakes.
I mean, what, 10 in the first half? What is it?
They had like
9?
I think 12 or 13 in the game. The Jaguars had 5. And so you're thinking, okay, boy. And
they had 4 on that one drive alone where they threw the interception.
The game management was not really any better for Nathaniel Hackett in that game, getting a delay of game on a kickoff.
Right.
Have you ever seen that?
We had never seen that on our broadcast.
I had never seen that. And I said that on our broadcast, which was, we were right there.
I think I said, what in the world is going on here?
How do you do that? How do you get that? I mean, really? And it wasn't like you had a controversial 2-point try that, are they going to replay it and you're wondering what's going on?
They had a guy lined up on the wrong side of the field that had to go to the other side, and they ran out of time.
Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, and every week, if you go to Jaguars.com, I think it's published on Saturdays. It's the what the experts think about the game, right?
Yes.
Do you do that too? You write in it?
I am
one of the experts?
Considered one of the experts from time to time.
It's John Osher compiles all the people's opinion. It's you and me and Brian Sexton.
It's called
Sullivan.
Final Analysis.
Okay. Frank Frangie. Everybody chimes in on what they think, how the game's going to go. Brent Martineau is even in there. And so I'm just putting some of my thoughts together. My first thought is how the Jaguars win is if they get back to playing complementary football, which this football team hasn't had in the last 5 games. If one component doesn't play well, the other component picks them up. And if one component plays well, then the other has a positive play that reinforces the next opportunity for the other unit. And it just hasn't been happening. When the Jaguars take the lead, for example, late in the ball game, defense has got to get the stop. Or if the Jaguars have the lead and then the defense gets a stop, okay, then the offense needs to put together maybe a 4-minute drill to eat the game clock up so the defense doesn't have to go out there later in the game. Or if the offense sputters, and they got a lead, okay, they don't gain anything, a 3 and a punt. Okay, Logan Cook do a great job of having a great punt to flip the field the other way to make the opponent have to drive 90 yards. And if you're the defense, don't allow an opponent to drive 98 yards.
Oh.
I mean, that's what complementary football is all about, and this team needs to get back to playing good complementary football.
Jaguars All Access Television tonight, String Sports Brewery in Springfield to site.
Cold beer.
Josh Allen is the regular player host of that show. Who's his guest tonight?
Foye Lucan.
Very nice.
Yeah, the free agent middle linebacker that the Jaguars were able to pick up from the Atlanta Falcons, been a tackling machine, and it'll be good to talk with him. And he's a Ivy League guy.
Yale.
Yeah, there's not many linebackers in the NFL that have gone to Yale. How many Ivy League guys are there in the NFL now currently? Any idea?
I don't know.
I don't know
really
either.
researched that.
That would be a good trivia question. Joe.
Well, Fitzgerald's out. He was a Harvard guy.
Who?
Ryan Fitzgerald.
Who?
The quarterback.
Fitzpatrick, maybe?
Jeez.
Fitzmagic?
I'm sorry. Excuse
the
me.
bearded one who is now on Thursday
He's
night?
on TV.
Amazon?
Tonight, yes. Sorry. Been a long day. He was a Harvard guy.
Yeah.
There aren't many.
There's a tight end.
Maybe a kicker or two.
There was a tight end that the Jaguars faced in the last couple of weeks. It was, I think, a Harvard guy too. But anyway, there's not many.
No.
Is the point.
Right.
So.
And he's up there, top 5 in the league in tackles again?
Yeah, and he's been playing pretty solid. I think he's got a lot of room that he can still grow in this Mike Caldwell defense. And the Jaguars defensively, they play sometimes they play a coverage which is kind of a blended man and a zone, and it's kind of weird and it's hard to explain. But essentially, you have one side plays man, the other side plays zone. So the one part that you have to be careful of is that if one of the receivers from the zone side runs over to the side of the field that the man side is on, somebody's got to go. Right, because the people over there are leaving with their guy that's in man, because they're in man coverage over there. So they've had there's not many teams in the league that do this. It's pretty interesting, and they've had a little bit of struggle with trying to communicate and understand the exact commitments that's required with this blended coverage. And so that will be an interesting question. And I'm looking forward to asking Foye, is this something that he's doing for the first time? How do you get better at that? How do you get better as a defense to close the games out? But I'm looking forward to talking with him because I know he's a smart guy. Look, you don't go to that school if you don't have a little bit of intelligence. Yeah. JP, I mean, look, there's a lot of guys.
Well, Harvard of the South over here.
Like I said, a lot of guys that went to Alabama are not particularly smart.
By the way, at least at the start of the season, there were 9 Ivy League players from 5 different schools that earned 53-man roster spots at the start of the season. 9 of them.
Can you name them?
I've got them.
Give them to me.
Cameron Brate for the Buccaneers from Harvard.
What position's he? Tight end.
Yep.
Okay.
Michael Holt, I think, from Brown, playing for the Rams.
Okay.
Jesper Horsted, Princeton for the Raiders.
Yeah, that's the guy that he's a tight end.
This is the one we're going to be mad at ourselves. Kyle Juszczyk, Harvard, 49ers.
Yeah, good player.
And Foye, of course, from Yale for the Jaguars. Tyler Ott for the Seahawks, went to Harvard.
What positions he play?
I don't
you don't know.
I don't know.
Okay.
Reading a press release.
Yeah.
And then Rodney Thomas from Yale with the Colts. Greg Van Roten from Penn for the Bills. And Justin Watson from Penn for the Chiefs.
Okay.
There you have it.
Penn's like football U. Is that like two or three?
That's at the start of the regular season.
Yeah.
Initial 53-man roster.
That's cool, though.
So there you go.
I'm glad.
More than we thought.
I didn't think it was going to be that many. I would have. What is it? Would you say 8?
There were 9 at the start of the season because Fitzpatrick and Tretter retired.
Okay, so 9. I was thinking if I had to guess, I would have said like 4. Right?
Yeah, I mean that's kind of where we're at, right? There's a handful of guys on practice squads also, but at the start of the year. So
cool stat.
Of course, that's 9 weeks ago. So
yeah, it might be different now. How rosters change back and forth from practice squad to injured reserve, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
Anyway.
All right. So how you feeling about this game?
Nervous. The reason why I'm nervous.
Why?
Is you've played the Colts when they were struggling on offense, and Matt Ryan ended up having what was a really strong day. You played the Broncos that were struggling on offense, and they were able to get the victory against you. And they made critical plays at key moments as an offense. So, and the reason I'm really concerned is that Derek Carr's been around a long time, just like Russell Wilson. So the guy is more than capable of what he did against the Saints last week. He's got excellent players at all the levels, running back, tight end, wide receiver. And he's got 2 good wide receivers, Hunter Renfrow, who he's not really using much, and Devontae Adams, who is a Pro Bowl guy. So, yeah, I'm nervous. And the Jaguars have not played well. So, I mean, I mean, what would you want me to say? I feel good about it?
Oh no, I didn't. I was just asking you how you felt.
I'm a little nervous.
Okay, it sounds like you are.
I was nervous last week. You know, I was hoping that Denver would be more interested in sightseeing than preparing for a game, but they obviously prepared enough.
We'll hear from Doug Pederson coming up in just a few moments on the Doug Pederson Show on the network. That's it for Jaguars Happy Hour on Jaguars Radio.
Welcome to the Doug Pederson Show, brought to you by the Florida Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles. JP Shadrick and former Jaguar Jeff Lageman discuss the latest Jaguars news with the head coach. The Doug Pederson Show starts right now.
And welcome in. It's Week 9, the Doug Pederson Show. The Jaguars and the Las Vegas Raiders coming up at TIAA Bank Field. JP Shadrick with Jaguars analyst Jeff Lageman and Jaguars head coach Doug Pederson. Great to see you. And, yeah, 5 straight losses, a lot of similarities week to week, especially last week in London. But there's some good things happening for this team also. Just got to cap it off and finish some of these games. We've heard that before, and putting it all together. A good chance this week coming back home against the Raiders.
A great opportunity this week, home game, and really, facing a team with probably some of the similar issues and struggles that we're dealing with right now, as a football team. But, one thing I like about our team is that it's, we get into the fourth quarter, obviously, and we do have to continue to learn to finish football games. But one thing that I really appreciate about the guys, we've mentioned this before, is they continue to play for 60 minutes, and it's all the way to the end. We have to do a better job of just cleaning up some detail things, play a little more sound in critical situations, understanding situations, and taking care of the football.
So many topics of conversation about going to London and the travel. How do you adapt? What's the best time to do it? Well, how about coming back from London? How do you get your team adapted back to this time zone? How do you get them recovered back, ready to go? Is there a little bit of a challenge with that?
There's a little bit of a challenge, but the biggest thing for me is making sure they get plenty of rest, and make sure the hydration element and the nutrition element. So I give them Monday and Tuesday off, other than coming in and getting a lift, try to get a lift on Tuesday. And then Wednesday, I took the pads off Wednesday, again, not to have the physicality at practice, and just kind of, even took the pace of play, so to speak, down in practice just a little bit. And, it's just something you got to do, because these guys are, everybody's traveling, but these guys that are playing, it does take a toll out of them. And I just want to make sure that they're ready to go and fresh for Sunday. It's
always a challenge, I think, from a mental standpoint, when you've been through some losses, been there, done that. And I think as a coach, sometimes you probably are trying to emphasize, hey, look, let's get better, but at the same token, let's not try to do too much. Is that part of what you're preaching?
It's 100% really what we're preaching, and what I'm saying to the football team is making sure, number one, let's just do our jobs, right? Do your job and do what you're asked to do. And again, if you don't understand something, ask. This is the time to ask a ton of questions on scheme, on a play, a special teams play, whatever it might be, and making sure that you fully understand the game plan and your job and role within that scheme, and then just go out and execute. You got to be able to free your mind. Don't play tight, don't play tense. Still want to play loose, have fun, enjoy the game, enjoy the process, but at the same time, making sure that we're doing everything right in order to win that game.
With your quarterback, a tough outing this past game. Had a couple interceptions, and I know one of them that very frustrating from the standpoint of it was right there at the one. How do you make sure that you're kind of giving tough love, but at the same token being kind of understanding and patient with a young quarterback?
It's difficult, but at the same time, I understand that he is young and he's learning, he's growing. I still want to put the ball in his hands. I think he's the type of quarterback that we can do that and still win a lot of games with. And, you know, I felt too at the time when I made that call on 1st and goal that it was a safe play. It was either going to be to Christian for a touchdown or it was going to be airmailed for the incompletion, and you get a chance to run the ball 3 times in a row for the touchdown. So, again, you hate to go through it. It's a learning experience. We learn from them, and we hope we don't make them in the future.
The Doug Pederson Show rolling along. Let's go to the Microsoft Surface for a social media question today, Coach. And this is from @Jeep1227. How has Travis Etienne Jr. grown in the offense as the season has gone along? Of course, last week, 24 carries, 156, ran hard, scored a touchdown. Good day at Wembley.
He just seems to impress each week. And I think the biggest thing that I've seen is, this is a guy that didn't play a year ago. He's coming off an injury. Didn't know really in the spring what to expect a whole lot, from Travis, but how he's embraced his role, how he's embraced the offense, how he's getting better with his when I say attention to detail, how he's hitting holes, how his shoulders are square to the line of scrimmage. He's got a great one cut, one burst explosion. He runs tough, he runs hard, and those are all the things that impresses me, when I see Travis, when he gets the ball in his hands.
He's so impressive because offensive linemen got to love him because he's hitting the hole, but when he hits it, he's through that hole in a blink of an eye. An offensive lineman play like, this is great. I don't even have to block for that long.
Yeah, that's the thing is he's doing a much better job of anticipating where the hole is going to be. And just hitting it, and I think about that touchdown run he had late in the game to take the lead last week, and he just that's a milestone. That's a step in the right direction where he just got in behind the O-line, lowered his shoulders, and just said, what, I'm not going to be denied, and I'm going to get myself in the end zone. So those are the things that he does that it keeps showing the improvement that we like as a staff, and again, just got to continue to find ways to get him the football.
What I love watching, too, you've got some pretty athletic offensive linemen, and one in particular, Cam Robinson. A big guy that's 6'7", 325 pounds, and he gets out and he runs, and he's probably the most athletic offensive lineman that you have in space, maybe besides Sheriff. And it's fun watching how your athletic linemen are running plays that also Travis can do really well with his speed.
Exactly, and, I think Phil Rauscher does a great job of designing – perimeter runs for these guys and knowing our tackles are athletic and how we can get Travis in space and what's the best way to attack a defense. And, and each week it's a different combination of plays. And last week we felt like we could attack the perimeter with some of our perimeter runs and just getting Big Cam out in space and, getting him on a little guy, usually a corner, is advantage Jacksonville. So you get him and Travis out on the perimeter, and he's running just as fast as Travis, I think, down the field.
Cam has pancaked at least one of those guys this year. This is the Doug Pederson Show. Now moving ahead, the Las Vegas Raiders coming to town. They were shut out last week, but that's not who they are. This is a team that has playmakers on offense. They've got a good pass rush on defense. And they were starting to kind of find their way the few weeks before last week's game.
Exactly right. We're obviously going to see a different football team. They're going to be, regrouped. They're going to be fresh, ready to go, eager to get back on the football field. We had one of these games this year where we had the, success of a 24-0 win, and then you play a team the second time, and it's a different outcome and different situation. So fully expect, Josh McDaniels, a good football coach. He's going to have this team well prepared. As you mentioned, there's playmakers on both sides of the ball that, we have to make sure we account for.
Derek Carr has been in this league for, 9 years now? Tough guy, been at it, same organization. What do you like about the quarterback?
I just like the way he runs that offense. He's got the arm strength to really make every throw in this league. He's tough. He plays smart. And really, I think he even has the ability to run. He when he does get out in the pocket, runs better than you think, and can extend plays with his legs. And he's really done a nice job. He's kind of settled in now later in his career, and I don't think he's making as many mistakes as he did, early in his career, and I think that's just come from just the playing experience.
Well, and he's got some real nice weapons. You got Devontae Adams on the outside, Josh Jacobs, and the guy that hasn't been playing recently. Hopefully he doesn't play this weekend, Darren Waller, the tight end. I don't know if I've ever seen a tight end do some of the things that he does.
He is a beast. I mean, he is a great player. He's athletic. He can run. He's physical. I mean, put the ball anywhere and he can go get it. Jump balls are going to be, advantage Raiders. And if he does play and we've got to be prepared for that. But again, there's some weapons over there. We know what Devontae Adams can do, what he's done in his past, and obviously with Carr, just spreading the wealth, and then Josh Jacobs in the backfield. I mean, this is a running back that runs powerful, runs low, and a really good test for our defense.
Your defense having some opportunities over the last couple games to win. What do they need to do to close a game out?
I really think it just comes down to somebody making a play. They're usually in the right position. They're playing hard. They're playing fast. We got after Russell Wilson last week, which was good to see. Get back into the sack column a little bit. Continue to do that, but at the same time, late in these football games when we have a lead, somewhere somebody just step up and make a play, whether it's a sack or maybe a tip pass for an interception, a turnover, something like that. Get off the field on third down, whatever it might be. That's just where we're at right now as a team, and we need guys to step up and make plays like that, especially in crucial moments.
Doug, thanks for the time as always. Good luck to you this week. Let's break the skid and get a win here at home.
Yeah, appreciate it. Let's do it.
It's head coach Doug Pederson. More on the Doug Pederson Show coming up on the Jaguars Radio Network.
Jaguars fans, here's a great way to pay with pride wherever you go. Exclusively from TIAA Bank, the Jacksonville Jaguars Visa debit card comes with a fierce look and fantastic features, along with the convenience to make purchases online or at millions of locations worldwide. And it's yours, free, when you open a Yield Pledge checking account. Order yours today. Visit TIAABank.com/JagsCard. TIAA Bank is a division of TIAA, FSB, member FDIC, and the official bank of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
It's football season, and time to take your game to the next level with a Ford F-150 truck. Light up your tailgate with an available Pro Power onboard generator. And with an available 3.5-liter EcoBoost engine, you can tow just about anything you need to rule the stadium lot. Ford F-150, part of the F-Series lineup that have been the best-selling pickups for 45 straight years. Get to your local Ford store today. Proud sponsor of your Jacksonville Jaguars.
Jaguars fans are gearing up and saving big at Fanatics.com. The world's largest collection of officially licensed fan gear from all the leagues, teams, and Jaguars players you love. Shop the most trusted brands, exclusive designs by Fanatics, and autographed collectibles from today's biggest stars. Join Fanatics Rewards today and earn fan cash on every purchase. Shop now and get today's special offer. Fanatics.com. Officially licensed everything.
You're beyond busy. Between work and the kids, the dogs and the cat, let us help. With Publix Delivery powered by Instacart, you'll get the items you need from the store you know. Just shop online, select the time you'd like your order delivered, and grocery shopping is done, giving you more time to take care of everything else. Publix Delivery, powered by Instacart. Visit Publix.com/delivery to shop now. That's Publix.com/delivery. Item prices vary from in-store prices. Service fees may apply. Available in select zip codes. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
Welcome back. The Doug Pederson Show continues right now.
And welcome back to the Doug Pederson Show. JP Shadrick with Jeff Lageman. The Jaguars and the Raiders coming up this Sunday. And our thanks to head coach Doug Pederson for joining us in the opening segment each week. Jeff Lageman alongside the Jaguars on a 5-game skid. And it's a head coach staying the course with a team that's trying to figure it out a couple of different ways. The quarterback, we brought it up there with Doug, and then defense. Got to make a play when it's in the air or when you have a chance too late in the game to finish it out.
Yeah, that's where, football is one of the greatest team sports there is, in so many different ways to win the ball game. It doesn't always come down to just one guy. If, for example, the defense gets another takeaway on that big drive there against the Broncos, then Trevor Lawrence doesn't have all the attention that's really kind of going to be on him this week. But that's just life of an NFL quarterback. But there are other ways to win. But make no mistake about it, JP, this is a game I think that's going to have a lot of attention on Trevor. And I think in a lot of different ways. And I think it's going to come from, most importantly, your teammates are going to be watching you. How you respond, how you lead, because you wear the C on your chest. And in order to lead, the performance has to be there for leadership. So until that performance is there, sometimes you can't lead. And if that performance is keeping you from winning some games, guys start to question, or do you need to have that job? And I'm not trying to create any controversy, but it's human nature. Because when performances aren't good, sometimes guys on a team that they're working their tails off. And look, I'm not saying that everybody should be doing that. Because sometimes, again, finger can be pointing back at you, and you got to take a look at yourself in the mirror.
Well, the saying quickly is you point a finger, there's three pointing back at you. The way
correct, the way the pointing works.
Anyway, go ahead.
Okay, but my point is that a lot of players in the NFL, if performance isn't where it needs to be, next man up. Not from an injury standpoint, but they're going to try somebody else. And the quarterback is treated a little bit differently.
Yeah.
And Trevor's had some fantastic moments, but you just can't have those moments that are like last week. You got to show that you learn from that mistake against Houston, and show against Denver that ball goes out of the end zone. And that's that's just the way it is. When you play that position, that's the scrutiny that you incur, and that's just part of it. I mean, Russell Wilson's getting the same thing. He's getting all the scrutiny in Denver. Many people are questioning, why did you give him the extension?
Right.
Why did you trade for him?
Before he took a snap, they paid him.
And people are saying the Seahawks look like geniuses. They've got a quarterback that nobody really wanted who's playing very well. And then the guy that they got draft picks for is not playing very well. But he's doing leg exercises on the plane ride to London.
Yeah.
He's a different guy. He likes the attention. Anyway, I'm not a big Russell Wilson fan. Just saying. But this game, if Trevor comes out and he plays strong, that would be an awesome moment for him, because when you have a tough game, you need to bounce back with a strong moment.
He's playing the whole season. They're not sitting him.
Yeah, he's not. You're not going to sit him.
No,
but I mean, at some point, you need to. And he's had good moments. Look, I thought the game that he played against the Chargers was really good. The game against the Colts, where a lot of underneath stuff, I thought was solid. But the Chargers game was really good. I liked the performance there in the second half against Indy, the drive, which was a great thing. That was really strong. And that's the frustrating thing sometimes about a young quarterback, is that sometimes it takes a hard lesson. Sometimes it takes 2 times for the experience to set in. And unfortunately, JP, that's you'd like to say if it happens once, learn from it once, right? Don't make the same mistake twice. But that's not how it always works. But that's how you want it to work.
That's not how it works, though.
It's not how it worked this week.
No, not at all. We flew a long way to find out as well. Hey, let's come back in a moment. Plenty ahead. The Jaguars offense against this Raiders defense. What do they have to offer? Of course, a little later we'll flip that around. We'll go back to a social media question for Logs. He's geared up and ready.
I'm ready
to answer it. Coming up, we're just getting going. It's the Doug Pederson Show on Jaguars Radio.
On the road, there's a thin line between safety and tragedy. Don't cross it. Give law enforcement, first responders, and service professionals the space to safely do their jobs. When you see flashing lights, move over a lane or slow down 20 miles per hour below the posted speed limit. See lights? Move over, Florida. Brought to you by the Florida Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles and the Florida Highway Patrol.
Your hometown gate now has more ways to save. Introducing My Gate Rewards, a new loyalty program with member-exclusive savings and fuel discounts. Earn points on in-store purchases, take advantage of special offers, and save on products you love. Score free coffee, fountain drinks, pizza, and soft serve with Gates Frequent Shopper Clubs. Then use your points on savings at the pump. Download the My Gate Rewards app in the App Store today or ask a store associate for more information. Go from good to Gate.
Hi, I'm Chef Justin Timnary, Florida's culinary ambassador. If you've enjoyed preparing fresh from Florida recipes, then you're going to love the Fresh from Florida Club. As a member, you'll be able to search and save delicious recipes, create custom menus, and ask me your cooking questions. Each month, you'll also get a list of what's in season, so you can make your family the freshest meals possible. It's free and easy to sign up. And best of all, you'll be supporting Florida's farmers, ranchers, and fishermen. Join the club at followfreshfromflorida.com today.
Are you suffering from shoulder pain? If you have clicking and popping in the shoulder joint, persistent pain that intensifies with use, an inability to lift your arm over your head, or a tingling, burning sensation in the shoulder, elbow, or wrist, waiting to see a doctor could make your injury worse. Baptist Health and Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute have innovative and effective treatment options available right now to relieve your pain and restore your mobility. Don't wait. Call 904-JOI-2000.
Welcome back. The Doug Pederson Show continues right now.
And welcome back. It is the Doug Pederson Show presented by the Florida Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles. JP Shadrick with Jeff Lageman. Head coach Doug Pederson with us in the opening segment each Thursday evening as the Jaguars this week will face the Las Vegas Raiders and try to snap a 5-game losing skid. The Raiders are 2-5. Jaguars are 2-6. The Raiders last week were shut out in the Superdome against the New Orleans Saints. They have been practicing all week down in Southwest Florida at the IMG Academy in Bradenton, and they'll come up here on Saturday and get ready for the game on Sunday.
You know what's crazy about that game in New Orleans that they had?
What's that?
You get blanked, right? So you're losing 24-0. You're losing the entirety of the game, so the Raiders are in throw mode, but yet Derek Carr only throws for 101 yards.
I talked to Andrew Cattle on today, CBS Sports play-by-play announcer. He's got the game this week, and we'll have the podcast coming up on Saturday, and we'll run the interview. He said that it might be the ugliest football game played by any team in the league this year.
It was so bad.
The whole season of any team.
And it's the ugliest offensive performance. Because Derek Carr was abysmal. I mean, abysmal. Looked like he was a rookie. I mean, guy in, what is his 8th, 9th year?
9th.
I mean, really? You're going to be that bad? 9 years in the league?
And you could probably bet they're not going to do it back-to-back. They have enough good players there to bounce back somehow.
Oh, they absolutely do. I hope they
do it back-to-back. That'd be great.
I'm all for it.
We'll take it.
I'm all for it. Another shutout for them. But as I said, when you look at them, I said this earlier, when you look at the Raiders' offense, they have very, very good skill players. Offensive line is solid, not great. They got a really good left tackle and Colton Miller, rookie at left guard. Center's solid. Right tackle, they're kind of flopping two guys back and forth a little bit. They're rotating Jermaine Illuminor and then a rookie Thayer Mumford Jr., who was a 7th-round pick, who does a pretty good job, actually, for a rookie 7th-round pick tackle. To get a guy that can even hold his own at 7th round at tackle in the NFL, that's doing pretty good. Got a great running back, and that's the key. If the running back is allowed to control the tempo, that's going to create a real comfortable environment for Derek Carr. And the Jaguars' defense has for the most part, been really good against the run. Of course, the 4-minute drill against the Giants wasn't great.
The Eagles.
Okay, the Eagles wasn't great on the ground, but every other game has been real solid. And the Eagles was a challenging game in a lot of different ways. But this week, that challenge is not there because of the RPO stuff. That's not there. But they've got to do a great job against the back. If you do a great job against the back, then you got an opportunity to limit them. That's your only hope. If all of a sudden Josh Jacobs is ripping it, you might get blanked.
Jacobs had 3 straight 100-yard games before last week and was really starting to heat up, and he's up there near the top of the league in rushing yards so far, and a good player back there. And if he gets rolling, as you said, they can have some real success.
You know what's weird?
Yeah.
How many has Hunter Renfrow missed any games this year for the Reds? I don't think he has.
I don't think so.
But he's only got like 18 catches. What happened there?
I don't
know. By the way, he
was about 28 years old when he left college, I think. He was at Clemson forever, it felt like.
I'm
kidding, of course. He wasn't that old, but it seemed like it.
2 colleges that have the most players in this game. What do you think?
Oh, it's Clemson.
And
probably Alabama.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you could probably go across the league.
It's like every week it's like that, though, right?
Yeah.
Last week there was a lot of the Broncos had a couple of UCLA guys that were there. But yeah, it's wild. The NFL has become the graduate school for Alabama, Clemson, Georgia.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Georgia's jumped in there now. Yep.
Yeah.
That's what it is. That's what it is. Hey, if they get Derek Carr comfortable, he's got Davante Adams out there, who had 1 catch last week.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you defend Davante?
Well, you better be, first and foremost, you better put him in obvious passing situations. And because what that does, it takes pressure off of your secondary to have to worry about the running game. It puts them in an obvious pass situation, which changes the mindset of the defense, and I think that's ultra important. That's why I talk about the importance of stopping a Josh Jacobs. And if you don't do that, then it's hard. You're trying to figure out, is it a run, is it pass, what's my responsibility, what do I need to do as a defensive back and as a safety? But if it's 2nd and 8, 2nd and 9, you're thinking Davante Adams, pass. 3rd and 7, 6+, pass. And that's what you're worrying about. You're pass rushing better. You're affecting the quarterback more. But it'll be interesting to see what they do from a coverage standpoint. Do they travel a Tyson Campbell, or do they just let him play on the side that he's typically been on? I don't know what the answer to that's going to be. Will Trey Herndon continue to be in his spot? So would the Raiders come out and say, hey, look, let's test it? Do they line Davante Adams up on the right side on the perimeter when the Jaguars in nickel to get Trey Herndon against Davante Adams? And I'm not trying to criticize Trey Herndon. I'm just saying, look, when you've got an opportunity that, in the NFL, you know what the NFL is, JP? It's a copycat league. So if a team got a play against Trey Herndon and then the next team got a play against Trey Herndon, the next team's going to say, let's test him out with our best guy. So that will happen. But will the Jaguars change how they do things? Will they change the personnel, who they play at that position? Will they change? Does Darius Williams stay at outside and stay at the corner position when they go to nickel? Will somebody else go inside? Will Trey Herndon go inside? There's so many different things that are going to be interesting to watch to see how they play it. Will they adjust, or will they just maybe adjust within the framework of what they've already done?
All right, plenty more ahead. A little more on the Jaguars offense when we come back. It is the Doug Pederson Show on the Jaguars Radio Network.
It's football season, and time to take your game to the next level with a Ford F-150 truck. Light up your tailgate with an available Pro Power onboard generator. And with an available 3.5-liter EcoBoost engine, you can tow just about anything you need to rule the stadium lot. Ford F-150, part of the F-Series lineup that have been the best-selling pickups for 45 straight years. Get to your local Ford store today. proud sponsor of your Jacksonville Jaguars.
At 5-Star Credit Union, you inspire them to go the extra mile to meet your financial needs. That's why they offer Jaguars fans more banking options like better rates and no hidden fees. Their team is also dedicated to making the communities they serve stronger, volunteering their time and talents while donating millions to local nonprofits. 5-Star Credit Union, 5starcu.org. Go Jags!
Jaguars fans, huddle up for the best defense against expensive car repairs, CarShield. Score big with the nation's #1 automotive protection company, CarShield. They offer affordable plans that cover over 6,000 parts and systems in your car, truck, or SUV. Don't miss any Jaguars action this season with a car breakdown. Call the MVPs at CarShield for their best coverage ever. Call 800-471-1223. 800-471-1223. Go Jags!
Everyone circle up. I know it looks rough out there. Sure, we're down 24-6, but we came here to play differently. We need a game changer. Something like Ring Central, the business phone system that's more than a phone. I want you to communicate like you can talk to anyone, anywhere, all from the same app. Now get out there and play like you're using Ring Central.
Ring Central. Simpler communications.
Welcome back. The Doug Pederson Show continues right now.
We're back. It's the Doug Pederson Show on a Thursday. It's Week 9. The Jaguars and the Raiders coming up. JP Shadrick with Jeff Lageman. Our thanks to head coach Doug Pederson. He joins us in the opening segment each Thursday. And we've got his thoughts on this matchup coming up, how his team's performing. 5 straight losses. Some key moments the Jaguars have faltered. Well, we've heard a lot over the last week of the interceptions from Trevor Lawrence, and rightly so. Those aren't going so well. But there has been some positive on offense. They've been very good between the 20s. They're top 10 offense in the league, number 9 overall in yardage. And in the running game, they're particularly good as of late, certainly with Travis Etienne going for 156 on the ground last week and running with just a different emphasis, it felt like, in that game at Wembley against Denver. And if that carries over week to week moving ahead, he should be in for a big season ahead.
Well, I think part of the reason why that the emphasis went to the ground was because of the mistake by Trevor.
The first interception,
yes.
Second quarter.
Yes, and I think that you always have to have confidence in your quarterback, but then once that interception was thrown, I think you're like, okay, let's just make sure that we have an environment for him that's conducive to recovery. And that environment is depending on other facets of the offense to be able to move the chain, so to speak. And that's Travis Etienne, who, by the way, he's been so good in so many different ways. And he was marvelous. Offensive line, I think, is if you look at them from the standpoint of early in the year, PFF, they have a ranking of offensive lines around the league. And look, it's not always completely accurate, but for the most part, it's fair.
You're being much nicer than Baselli right now, by the way.
Well, it's because he thinks it's total garbage, and it's not total garbage. There's some merit to some of the things that they do.
Fair enough.
And early in the season, that offensive line, or the Jaguars' offensive line, was down near the bottom. And right now, they've got them ranked right in the middle, which is very fair. Very fair. I thought they've made significant progress. Now, they had a Giants offensive line ranked pretty high, or Broncos offensive line ranked pretty high, and I was like, I don't know about that. So I don't necessarily agree with everything that they
got
say.
Some injuries and stuff. The tackles are out. Yeah, all that.
Yeah, so I don't know if I would agree with that. But that's kind of what they do is they base it on the performance of the entire year, not where they're at that particular moment. And the Jaguars' performance over the course of the years have earned them the improved grade from PFF, which is, like I said, it's very fair. And Jawan Taylor, I think, is playing his best football of the year. Cam Robinson, which this offense suits him perfectly because they love getting him out in space with his athleticism, which is fun to watch. I mean, another Travis Etienne play happens because Cam is getting out and doing some great things down the field in open space. And there's not – how many tackles in the league can do what he does?
Yeah, no, there's not a lot like that. And on that particular play, he boxed in Chubb on the inside, and just here goes Travis right by him.
It's kind of like a little draw play, and what he's trying to do is that he's expecting Chubb, before they line up, Chubb to go up the field, and he does what I call throw him out the bar move. It's kind of just a wheel where he hits him on the shoulder to throw him up the field. Well, Chubb goes inside like he's running a stunt or trying to jump inside on a pass rush, so Cam does a real good job of stopping him and then pushing him to the inside, and then realizing Travis's speed will now be able to get away from him. He turns and takes off and gets out in front. I mean, and athletically, he ends up blocking Chubb, then he blocks a defensive back, and then Chubb has recovered now that Travis has kind of had to make a couple moves to slow up the miss guys. He's starting to catch up. Cam blocks him again down the field like 20 yards. It's like, that is awesome. What a great job by Cam. Week before he got, I think it was 3 blocks on Travis's 47, 48-yarder. I mean, so I love watching, especially Cam Robinson and Brandon Sheriff. When they get out in space, they're really good. Really good. Cam is really good. Sheriff is good. But they're fun to watch. And I'll say also, real quick, Tyler Shatley is playing really well. You could argue he's playing better than Sheriff right now, or at least the grades have been higher. He's playing really well. I mean, he's
great.
And what we at first we're thinking, well, they maybe think about moving somebody else in eventually. Could Walker Little play guard? Could they play the new guy that they signed, John Miller? No. We actually mentioned it, could Cole Van Lanen maybe work his way over to that side? I mean, the way Tyler Shatley's played, you know what they're saying to themselves? We're good. Tyler Shatley's our left guard right now. No problem.
Let's come back. Plenty ahead. The Jaguars and the Raiders coming up. This week's game is the Salute to Service game presented by CSX. And this is the Doug Pederson Show on Jaguars Radio.
On the road, there's a thin line between safety and tragedy. Don't cross it. Give law enforcement, first responders, and service professionals the space to safely do their jobs. When you see flashing lights, move over a lane or slow down 20 miles per hour below the posted speed limit. See lights? Move over, Florida. Brought to you by the Florida Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles and the Florida Highway Patrol.
If the last couple years have taught us anything, it's to show the ones we love how much we care. That's why Pet Paradise calls you by name from the moment you arrive. Why our pack leaders know each and every friend you like to play with out on the turf. And that you like some snuggles before you fall asleep. The more we see and get to know you, the more you'll see how much you mean to us. Pet Paradise. It's a new day in pet care.
At Tropical Smoothie Cafe, one taste and you're feeling good now, smiling wider now, seeing brighter now, bucket dunking now, namasteing now, popping a wheelie now, living lighter now. You're on Tropic Time now. And on Mondays, try our Jaguars Duval Delight Smoothies for $2.99. And you're roaring louder now, end zone dancing now, sipping spirit now. You're on Tropic Time now at Tropical Smoothie Cafe.
Committed to the team. Committed to the mission. At Navy Mutual, we're committed to providing high-quality life insurance to members of the military and their families. So our policies have no fine print and no military service restrictions. We don't work on commission. We're nonprofit, so we pass the savings along to our members. Because at Navy Mutual, our highest commitment is to you. Visit NavyMutual.org. Navy Mutual, insuring those who serve.
Welcome back. The Doug Pederson Show continues right now.
We're back. It's the Doug Pederson Show. JP Shadrick with Jeff Lageman. Head coach Doug Pederson in the opening segment each week on this Thursday, and it's ahead of Week 9. The Jaguars and the Raiders coming up at TIAA Bank Field this week. Well, the Jaguars defense, we've talked about some of the issues late in games, but this week they got a little bit of pressure on Russell Wilson as a group as a whole, which was good to see. They hit him, I think, 8 times, put him on the ground for a sack 3 times in the game. But, Josh Allen had one of those quarterback hits in the game at Wembley. Allen's last sack was Week 4 of this season. He's got 3 for the season. He had 2 in Week 2. And he said it today in the locker room that he needs to live up to his standard of play. He's not there yet, and he can play better and do a lot of things. He said it doesn't matter, no offense to any tackles, the way they've played him or if they've doubled it, whatever it is. He took it on himself to say, I've got to get better and find a way to go get to the quarterback.
Well, he hasn't been doubled. So it's not like opponents are going, oh, yeah, we got to double Josh Allen. Even the Broncos left a third-team tackle one-on-one against them. That was, because the Broncos started out the year, Garrett Bowles was their starter, and then they had Cameron Fleming, who was their starting right tackle. They moved him to left. Well, he got hurt the week before the Jaguars game, and so into the lineup goes Calvin Anderson. And I was hopeful that Josh would be able to get some things done on him, and really didn't happen. I was hoping that Trayvon would be able to get some things going against the right tackle, who is a journeyman backup, and they got the sack over there when they did kind of an overload alignment and did a little TE stunt. But I didn't think either one of them was great. And Trayvon's still learning. Josh is more advanced, and I think he should be better than what he's doing. The one player I think that has earned more time, I would say players that have earned more time, are Smoot and Arden Key. In the past, they've always kind of rolled those guys in when they could sub on like a second and long or a third and long. Well, we've seen over the last couple of weeks that teams are going tempo with the Jaguars. Well, when you go tempo or you're facing tempo, now it's hard to substitute. It's hard to get your pass rushers on the field. So they need to find a way to get Smoot on the field and get Arden Key on the field. The reality is that if Smoot is his productivity, if it's better than somebody else, then he needs to play more. And however you want to look at it, does Smoot play? Because I'm talking about being edge rushers, not being inside. So if Smoot is being more productive or has been more productive, does he go in at times for Trayvon Walker or Josh Allen? Absolutely he should. Right? It's a production-based business.
He produced last week a sack and a half, a tackle for loss, 3 quarterback hits in the game, Smoot.
And then Arden Key had a sack.
Yes, and he had a pass defense as well out in the flat when he tried to sidearm it around him.
That was a nice play. They're trying to set up a little running back screen, and a nice awareness play by him. So do these guys deserve more time? Absolutely. So will they find a way to increase their opportunities? They should. The one thing I was kind of surprised at, JP, at the beginning of the year when they were formulating their defensive plan, you had outside linebackers, and then you had defensive linemen, right? 2 different coaches for the 2 different groups. Where did we see Smoot and Arden Key go? They went with the defensive linemen, the big did. 3 guys. Mm-hmm. I thought last year that Smoot had an excellent year, his best year as a pro, and really showed that he had the ability to be an outside linebacker / edge rusher. And they kind of had the mindset from the get-go this year that he was going to be inside. Well, I think they're starting to see that he's got some abilities on the outside, so let him get some opportunities there and get him more opportunities on the inside, even if you have to take some snaps away from guys that you're trying to get out there because they're good against the run. But Smoot deserves more opportunities.
When we return, the social media question, powered by Microsoft Surface, for Jeff Lageman. It's the Doug Pederson Show on the Jaguars Radio Network.
Jaguars fans, here's a great way to pay with pride wherever you go. Exclusively from TIAA Bank, the Jacksonville Jaguars Visa debit card comes with a fierce look and fantastic features, along with the convenience to make purchases online or at millions of locations worldwide. And it's yours, free, when you open a Yield Pledge checking account. Order yours today. Visit TIAABank.com/JagsCard. TIAA Bank is a division of TIAA, FSB, member FDIC, and the official bank of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Jaguars fans are gearing up and saving big at Fanatics.com, the world's largest collection of officially licensed fan gear from all the leagues, teams, and Jaguars players you love. Shop the most trusted brands, exclusive designs by Fanatics, and autographed collectibles from today's biggest stars. Join Fanatics Rewards today and earn fan cash on every purchase. Shop now and get today's special offer. Fanatics.com, officially licensed everything.
You're beyond busy. Between work and the kids, the dogs and the cat, let us help. With Publix delivery powered by Instacart, you'll get the items you need from the store you know. Just shop online, select the time you'd like your order delivered, and grocery shopping is done, giving you more time to take care of everything else.
Publix delivery powered by Instacart. Visit Publix.com/delivery to shop now. That's Publix.com/delivery. Item prices vary from in-store prices. Service fees may apply. Available in select zip codes. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
Jaguars fans, huddle up for the best defense against expensive car repairs, CarShield. Score big with the nation's #1 automotive protection company, CarShield. They offer affordable plans that cover over 6,000 parts and systems in your car, truck, or SUV. Don't miss any Jaguars action this season with a car breakdown. Call the MVPs at CarShield for their best coverage ever. Call 800-471-1223. 800-471-1223. Go Jags!
It's football season, and time to take your game to the next level with a Ford F-150 truck. Light up your tailgate with an available Pro Power onboard generator. And with an available 3.5-liter EcoBoost engine, you can tow just about anything you need to rule the stadium lot. Ford F-150, part of the F-Series lineup that have been the best-selling pickups for 45 straight years. Get to your local Ford store today. Proud sponsor of your Jacksonville Jaguars.
And we're back with breaking news. Coke Zero Sugar might be the best Coke ever.
That's right, Jim. Coke Zero Sugar is a must-try for any Coke fan, so make sure you... Jim. Jim. We're on the air.
Ooh, yes, this tastes like the best Coke ever to me. Your thoughts, Jen?
Well, can I have a sip?
Jen, we're in the middle of reporting the news.
I need to try it first.
Welcome back. The Doug Pederson Show continues right now.
Welcome back. It is the Doug Pederson Show. I'm JP Shadrick, Jeff Lageman alongside. It's Week 9. The Jaguars and the Raiders coming up at TIAA Bank Field. Salute to Service game this Sunday. Hope to see you here. It is time now to go to the Microsoft Surface for a social media question for Jeff Lageman. Here we go. At SBoston2587. Would you consider putting Campbell on Adams the entire game to keep Adams from doing what Adams is used to doing and making big plays happen? Well, we touched on this earlier, but you, Jeff Lageman, defensive coordinator, would you do that?
Well, I think it's an interesting question, and first of all, does Tyson Campbell have a comfort level on both sides of the field? If you're playing zone, you can't sit there and say, okay, we're going to match him up and flip him sides, just because I think Tyson's got and every defensive player, offensive player that's used to playing one side or the other has a comfort level with being on that side. So from that standpoint, no, I wouldn't, because you don't want to give away what your coverage is. So in other words, if you're going to play man, then you need to match. You show it. But if you're in zone and you're not matching him to Devontae Adams, so you're flipping him to whichever side that he lines up on, then you're going to give him the indicator or tell them exactly what your coverage is. So that's the one thing that's hard about having a guy travel in man and he doesn't travel in zone, is that you basically tell him what coverage you're in if you're not traveling him in zone. And then if you are, you've got to have that player comfortable playing zone on the other side, on side that he's not accustomed to playing. So I think on third and long situations, you don't care if you're going to play man, sure. So I think at times you can match them, and at other times you can't, just because you don't want to. You want to be able to disguise your defense.
The rest of the cornerback room staying the same? Herndon?
I don't know about that.
Darius Williams?
I don't know about that.
Mike Caldwell, at least today, said they aren't planning right now to make any moves.
Well, if I'm Mike Caldwell, I'm not going to go up to the podium and tell you exactly what I'm going to do differently against the Raiders. I don't want to give the Raiders my game plan. So if he's going to change something, which maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. I don't know the answer to that. But I think you take everything into account when you're not winning. And that's changing reps for certain guys. That's changing play time. That's changing positions. That's trying different combinations. You'll try a lot of different things.
Try some personnel that might not be out there a lot early in the season.
Never know.
In certain situations.
Never know. I mean, could they put Josh Allen at corner this week?
I would doubt that. That would be a little extreme.
I was just seeing if you were paying attention.
See if we can get him jump-started that way. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, look, when you lose 5 in a row, you're willing to try different things. Different personnel. You're looking at different schemes. You're looking at playing the same scheme but in a different fashion, maybe having a different alignment. So could you flip some guys? Could you maybe take Darius Williams, move him to outside, move somebody else in the nickel? Yeah, you could do that. So I don't know what they're going to do, and the Raiders aren't exactly sure what they're going to do. And I think the Raiders will probably prepare for what they've seen, and then they'll adjust if they have to, based on what the Jaguars do. But I guarantee you one thing, Devontae Adams is going to be rip-roaring and ready to go. He doesn't care who is covering him.
No, come on.
He's never cared who's covered him in the past.
No.
So he doesn't care if Tyson Campbell is going to mirror him. And Derek Carr, he's going to be telling Derek Carr, don't you dare care that somebody is mirroring me. You throw me the ball. Because he's that kind of guy. He's that kind of player. He's that kind of competitor. He's good. Really good.
How are the Jaguars safeties playing? Andre Sisco, Rayshon Jenkins?
Pretty good. Yeah, pretty good. I mean, they're not perfect, but they've been pretty good. You know, a couple communication things that you'd like to get cleaned up a little bit, some awareness things, but, I mean, they've been pretty good. I want to say they've been great, but they've been pretty good. And look, the defense has made big strides this year, big strides from where they were last year where, you know, they were giving up a lot of points, they were giving up a lot of yards, and this year they've made a significant stride. You know, to give you an example, last year, 28th in points allowed, 26.9, and you're dropped that by a touchdown. That's a big difference. You know, against the run this year, you're a top 10 team against the run. Okay, we're a top 10 team, but if you look at yards per carry, you're in top 10.
Sure.
So it's a good defense. I mean, it's a good defense. They just got to start making plays when it counts. When you start making plays when it counts, then all of a sudden you go from just kind of average to good to very good. And can they do that? Got to get some productivity. I mean, Josh Allen needs to step up his level of play. Foye Oluokun needs to be consistent. Okay, there's been times where he hasn't been as consistent that I'm sure that he's wanted to be. Devin Lloyd.
Yeah, I was going to say, where's Devin been?
Had a stretch where he was like, holy cow, this rookie's on fire, right? And then since then, it's been like, where'd he go? Defensive line as a whole. I mean, the lack of pressure that they've had for the most part, they've got to get better as a whole. You got to start finding some inside pressure. Trayvon Walker, okay, you want him to get better. You know, if you look at him compared to some of the other rookie edge rushers right now, he's kind of fallen behind a little bit.
Let's come back in a moment, and our final thoughts ahead of this Raiders-Jaguars matchup in Week 9, a rematch of the Hall of Fame game. Not really. Not many guys are going to be playing, or that played in that game we played in this one. It's the Doug Pederson Show on Jaguars Radio.
On the road, there's a thin line between safety and tragedy. Don't cross it. Give law enforcement, first responders, and service professionals the space to safely do their jobs. When you see flashing lights, move over a lane or slow down 20 miles per hour below the posted speed limit. See lights? Move over, Florida. Brought to you by the Florida Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles and the Florida Highway Patrol.
What do you call a group of friends who wear the same jersey for good luck, no matter how old it is, and who support their team through thick and thin, week after week, as if the very season depended on it, while tossing the pigskin and drinking Miller Lite? You call it Miller Time in Jacksonville. Here's to the original light beer. It's Miller Time. Celebrate responsibly. 2022 Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Hi, I'm Chef Justin Timnary, Florida's culinary ambassador. If you've enjoyed preparing fresh from Florida recipes, then you're going to love the Fresh from Florida Club. As a member, you'll be able to search and save delicious recipes, create custom menus, and ask me your cooking questions. Each month, you'll also get a list of what's in season, so you can make your family the freshest meals possible. It's free and easy to sign up. And best of all, you'll be supporting Florida's farmers, ranchers, and fishermen. Join the club at followfreshfromflorida.com today.
Your hometown gate now has more ways to save. Introducing My Gate Rewards, a new loyalty program with member-exclusive savings and fuel discounts. Earn points on in-store purchases, take advantage of special offers, and save on products you love. Score free coffee, fountain drinks, pizza, and soft serve with Gate's frequent shopper clubs. Then use your points on savings at the pump. Download the My Gate Rewards app in the App Store today or ask a store associate for more information. Go from good to Gate.
At Tropical Smoothie Cafe, one taste and you're feeling good now, smiling wider now, seeing brighter now, bucket dunking now, namasteing now, popping a wheelie now, living lighter now. You're on Tropic Time now. And on Mondays, try our Jaguars Duval Delight Smoothies for $2.99. And you're roaring louder now, end zone dancing now, sipping spirit now. You're on Tropic Time now at Tropical Smoothie Cafe.
Committed to the team. Committed to the mission. At Navy Mutual, we're committed to providing high-quality life insurance to members of the military and their families. So our policies have no fine print and no military service restrictions. We don't work on commission. We're nonprofit, so we pass the savings along to our members. Because at Navy Mutual, our highest commitment is to you. Visit NavyMutual.org. Navy Mutual, insuring those who serve.
Welcome back. The Doug Pederson Show continues right now.
We're back. Final few minutes of the Doug Pederson Show for Week 9. The Jags and the Raiders coming up from TIAA Bank Field. JP Shadrick and Jeff Lageman. Well, tonight on Jaguars All Access Television from String Sports Brewery in Springfield in Jacksonville. You're there. Brent Martineau, TV Zone, is there. And Josh Allen is the regular player host. So who's the guest?
Foye Oluokun and Josh Allen himself.
Very nice.
And Brent Martineau is always a draw.
Is he?
Yeah, he's a draw. Yeah, he's big. Yeah, he's big. He's big time.
I did not know that.
Yeah, he's a draw. No, I'm looking forward to it. Going to take a look back at the game and get two defensive guys' opinions on where they're at as a team. This is a tough time when you're an NFL player, and then you always have high expectations going into the season, and you start good, you feel good, and then you reel off 5 consecutive L's. That makes it tough from the standpoint of you got to guard against trying to do too much. You got to continue to put in the work, and it gets harder to do that with positive energy when you have that many losses piling up. But it's something that you have to fight against as a pro. And you always say that it's a long season. Well, now it's a 17-game season, so it's an even longer season now.
And, I mean, let's be honest with you. You keep saying, there's some games we can work on this. Halftime of this game is the halfway point of the season.
Correct.
So you're kind of running out of some weeks here to get some things done.
Well, and you can't, the one thing I was never a big fan of at any time going back many years, and never been a fan. Well, we should have won that game, or we could have won that game. Well, should have, could have, would have. You didn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
Either you did or you didn't.
Bill Parcells used to always have a pretty simple statement. He said, "You are what you are. You are what your record is." And so this football team is exactly what they are, and until they can change certain ways that they execute on game days, then they're not going to change the team that they are. So they need to make the plays when they need to make the plays and to be consistent. The mistakes that they've made, I thought the one thing that they did clean up a little bit was some of the mistakes overall as a team, but the mistakes that they did make as an offense and at the quarterback spot, when you make mistakes like that, they're sometimes too big to be able to overcome, especially when you're not executing in other facets of the game.
1 o'clock kickoff time. Salute to Service game presented by CSX here at the bank. So hope you'll join us. We'll be on the network at noon with countdown to kickoff. As always, we'll hear from Doug Pederson, Fred Taylor, and Andrew Catalon of CBS Sports will join us as well. Thanks to our entire crew. David Cho, Brent Reber, Joe Fortunato. For Jeff Lageman, I'm JP Shadrick, and this has been the Doug Pederson Show on the Jaguars Radio Network.